Have you ever considered moving into digital medium format photography? Well, now may be the best time to do it ever. And if you'll join me for a few minutes, I'll tell you why. Welcome. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Jan Malmgren. I'm a Swedish photographer, ecologist and writer. I have shared my backstory before, but to make it short, I have been a semi-professional photographer, even running my own studio. I have always been devoted to capturing portraits, landscape, nature and wildlife. Today I'm just a happy hobbyist, and this is my way of exploring photography and everything photography related. So if you share my interest in photography, you're welcome to join me on this channel. I have always loved large format film cameras and also digital medium format. But it took me well over 40 years of doing photography before I ended up myself doing digital medium format, and I love it. Today I use the Fujifilm GFX 100 Mark II, especially when I do landscape photography, and it's been my workhorse for a few years now. I realize I may be a bad influence to a few of you out there, especially in relation to what this episode today is all about. But hear me out. There is a camera for everyone who is interested in making photos. It may be a smartphone, it may be a cropped sensor camera, it may be a full frame, digital medium format, or even analog film cameras. We live in a time with almost endless options and opportunities. If you're into YouTube and watch a lot of YouTube videos about photography, you have most probably run into some videos that have the title, I bought this camera, is it still relevant? Of course, these are just titles to hook you and to draw you into the episodes, but they also send a message that is quite destructive in my opinion. The simple answer is that any camera is relevant, of course, as long as it works properly and as long as you as the photographer knows its limitations. Of course, sometimes you need to work around the limitations to make the photographs you want to. My point here is that you don't need the latest, the greatest, the most expensive camera out there, at least not to do great photography. You know, my old Hasselblad 500 CM is from 1970, and it is still relevant. People are desiring that kind of cameras, and it works just fine for making analog photographs. And also when you couple a digital back to the camera, you can make also digital photos with the same setup as you used in the 1970s. That's more than 50 years ago, and it's still relevant. So I would say any camera is relevant as long as you as the photographer knows how to use it. It is quite good to know that we live in a time where the big camera brands all struggle to survive. The competition out there is fierce, and the customers are moving in different directions, and sometimes directions that are not easy to foresee for the camera brands themselves. Take Fujifilm as an example. It was quite a small brand in 2010 when they released the Fujifilm FinePix X100. It became a cult camera, and the series have sort of revolutionized the camera industry today. Everybody is making a retro style camera. Although the first Fujifilm X100 was not very advanced, it was such an amazing product that a lot of photographers were drawn to it. And Fujifilm has since sort of exploded, and the line of cameras that they produce, everything from cropped sensor cameras to digital medium format cameras, have sort of disrupted the camera market. So I think Fujifilm is a good example of a brand that goes against the trends and have sort of made their own route in the camera landscape. But all the camera brands try to sell their latest model to you and almost always tells you that the last model is now obsolete because there is a new model around. Of course, that's not true. When a new model comes, it's just an iteration and seldom makes great leaps into the camera technology. It's not certainly the case that the latest model is the best model. Perhaps the best camera is the one that you already have, as long as you are learning to use it properly and all the advanced functions that they have today. Of course, that's not what the camera brands want to hear or want to tell everybody. But I think that this may be sort of a destructive trend, especially for the hobby, because a lot of young beginning photographers sort of buys into very expensive gear as their first cameras, thinking that they will help them to become great photographers. But with a more advanced and complex camera, you don't necessarily take better photos. Instead, they may be so complex that you leave the cameras on the shelves to collect dust, and you move on into other interests in life instead. So I think the risk is that there are a lot of sort of disappointed photographers out there. And the arms race that the camera brands are doing makes us think more about technology and the camera gear and equipment instead of how to make the best of the light that we have and how to make photographs with composition and all that is involved in making great photography. I have always advocated that you should buy the best camera and lenses that you can afford on your own budget, and that may differ a lot. If you have plenty of money, of course, and you can freely spend them on the latest and greatest and most expensive cameras, of course, good on you. But most of the young beginning photographers out there don't have those opportunities. And I recommend that you look into the used market first. And there are so many great options today. Just look at these big corporations like MPB, KEH, for example, that specializes in buying, selling, trading in used gear. If you look on those sites, you will find a lot of gear, and also that there is so much gear out there in circulation that you don't even need to really bother buying the latest and greatest from the shops or the brands themselves. I must stop here to make a little detour now that we are talking about used gear, because the interest in buying new gear has a positive effect on the used market, because every time a camera brand releases a new model, you see instantly that photographers who had the older model instantly tries to sell or trade the old model in to afford buying into the new one. And that floods the used market with almost new and never used gear. And that's positive for you if you are into buying used gear, of course. And another thing, you don't have to go back too far in time to see that all the big camera market brands that popped up in the e-shopping trends that we have around us almost killed off all the local Photoshops. But now today, with the used market, some Photoshops actually flourish again. I know, at least from my area, that the little Photoshop that were almost going to close now has one of the best collections of used camera gear, and actually sells to a lot of new photographers and beginning customers. And I think that's a great thing, and perhaps a positive consequence also of the new camera model and gas syndrome that we can see around us. So, to pick up the used gear thread again, if you're new to photography, here's 5 things that I think you should actually focus on when you are looking for equipment. consider buying used gear, preferably supporting your local photo shop, if you have one around, or one of the more trustworthy sites where you can get advice. Secondly, learn your camera and develop as a photographer slow and steady. 3. Explore your creative side and find joy in what you make. 4. Join the local photo club or take part in photo walks or workshops. 5. Grow with your gear and upgrade only when you find you need to in order to take the next step in your photography journey. These 5 points will give you a solid foundation for a lifelong hobby that grows with you. Wait a minute, wasn't this episode meant to be about taking the leap into digital medium format? And here I am ranting about how to begin your journey in photography. Well, hear me out and hear me out till the end. When I record this, it has only been a few days since Hasselblad released their new camera model, the X2D Mark II 100C. Not only did they present a lot of great features that had been lacking in previous models, but they also reduced the price. I will get back to this in a little while, but first a backstory. Not long ago, as a matter of fact only about 10 years ago, digital medium format was something that only the most professional and well-paid photographers could afford. Brands like Hasselblad and Phase One had camera systems that cost tens of thousands of dollars. And of course that was not simply possible for many photographers that wanted to go into digital medium format photography. And they were mostly working in the fields of fashion, architecture and portraiture, and also commercial photography. However, and this is very interesting, everything changed in 2016 when Hasselblad released their first X1D series of cameras. And the Hasselblad X series has replaced the H series of Hasselblad professional cameras. So they are devoting fully today on their X series cameras. 2016, as I record this, it is only about 9 years ago. And the price tag for the X1D 50C, a 50 megapixel digital medium format camera, was $8,995. Although Hasselblad were first to enter this more prosumer-friendly market, Fujifilm had a camera of their own in the making, and just a few months later they announced the Fujifilm GFX 50S with a price of $6,499, almost $2,000 less than the Hasselblad camera. And of course this sent shockwaves into the camera market, and especially I can guess into the digital medium format market. And it was an aggressive move by Fujifilm. They challenged not only Hasselblad and Phase One, but they also challenged the full format camera brands. Both the Hasselblad X1D 50C and the GFX 50S were based on the same sensor, but each brand had their own design philosophy. Suddenly we had two digital medium format systems to choose from, the Hasselblad X series and the Fujifilm GFX series cameras and lenses. And not only that, in less than 10 years, Hasselblad and Fujifilm together have released 15 models of medium format digital cameras. Crazy, isn't it? And with these new models, prices have come down to really consumer-friendly levels, or at least prosumer-friendly levels. Everything is relative, of course. And also consider that the prices on digital medium format cameras have fallen, and the prices of full format cameras have risen. They are almost meeting somewhere in the middle. And today, prosumer photographers have so much to choose from. Entry-level cameras from Fujifilm can be had for less than $5,000. while the flagship models from both Hasselblad and Fujifilm cost around $7,400. This graph, I think, shows an interesting timeline about how the two brands have totally disrupted and evolved the digital medium format camera market for us photographers. But consider the used market again. There are now 15 models of digital medium format cameras in circulation, and a lot of them are available today in the used markets for very reasonable prices. And since all new releases push down the price level, also the used market prices are dropping as well. There has never been so many affordable digital medium format cameras on the market available for us prosumer or even consumer photographers to choose from. If you stay away from the first models, the X1D 50C or the GFX 50S, I think there are so many great cameras that are very relevant today to use and to make great photographs with. Just because they are not the latest models doesn't mean that they can take or make great photographs. But one thing to remember, of course, is that all cameras have their limitations. And I would say that even the latest and the greatest digital medium format cameras are not made for taking action photography, sports, adventure, perhaps not even wildlife. You have to consider this and know their limitations before you jump into the digital medium format market. But if you're interested in landscape, portraiture, commercial or product photography, I think digital medium format photography is just great. And now is perhaps a really good time to get involved with it if you buy a used camera. So with each new model, users are selling or trading in their old cameras, and that makes the prices on the used market also to fall. It is now possible to buy a used GFX 100, the GFX 100S, etc., or the X1D Mark II, and so on, for anything between $2,000 and $3,000. I would say that that is very affordable. All those are great cameras. Lenses are also getting more affordable, but expect to pay higher prices on the Hasselblad lenses than those from Fujifilm, because of both the brand and the leaf shutter built into the lens. Both brands have quite excellent entry-level lenses to choose from, which are available for very little when they are used. There is no question about that those cameras and lenses are still relevant today and will be for many, many years to come. They are all great and presents an affordable way to get into digital medium format photography. So, have you ever considered moving into digital medium format photography? Let me hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. I do tutorials and photo walks, mainly focused around my interest in medium format landscape photography. But anyway, I do a lot of just photography related content. So with this channel, I'm trying to build a community with those of you out there who are equally interested in photography. And I just love to read your comments and hear about your suggestions or answer your questions. And it gives me pleasure to just know that there are so many great people out there who are interested in the same kind of photography as I am. Okay, so that's all for this time. See you soon.